Well, we're lucky enough to end up here in beautiful Plattsburgh, New York. This is the upper corner of New York State, just below Montreal and the Canadian border. And I happen to be lucky enough to find an Iroquois Mohawk maiden slash elder. She's just starting to get into the elder thing. And I had a few questions for you, if you don't mind. Can I ask you? Your Indian name?
Laughing Eyes.
And you don't remember the pronunciation, which I can't blame you a bit. And your English name?
Laura.
Laura. And you are from the Iroquois Nation?
Yes. Mohawk.
Mohawk tribe, and what clan?
The Turtle Clan.
Turtle Clan. Clan just means family. Now, the questions I had for you, Laura, what is your occupation?
I'm a counselor at Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora. I'm a member of their crisis intervention unit.
Now, in your time on Mother Earth, what has been your favorite accomplishment?
I would say having my kids,
Okay,
Madeline and Emma.
that's fair enough. Now, these questions are going to be optional, of course, you don't have to answer, but what has been the greatest moment of your life?
I would say meeting my biological mother was pretty close to the top.
Okay, and also optional, what's been the very worst moment of your life?
I gotta think about that. I think recently was working through the escape of two inmates from the correctional facility. It took up a lot of time.
It was world news, too, wasn't it?
World news and tiring, exhausting, stressful. Still dealing with repercussions from that now.
Now, in your time here on Mother Earth, now that you're getting to be an elder soon, do you have any advice for the rest of us poor creatures here on Mother Earth?
I think the best advice that I would give is to go with your gut instinct and follow your intuition and never to second guess it, because you're usually right. And it's only when you second guess yourself that you deny what you know. And I think Turtle Clan members particularly have an excellent intuition, probably above that of other people, although we don't always pay attention to it.
Now, one part you missed about one of your favorite accomplishments is one of my favorite events of my time is you're an actress, but you were in a play. You played almost a naughty nun, actually.
I did. I played a Mother Superior. And on the flip side of that, I played one of the Mary murderesses in Chicago who shot her husband because he popped his gum at her. So, polar opposites.
You make such a great nun. The Pope would roll over in his double grave, I swear.
Most people did when they saw me in the habit, and I was pregnant both times that I played the nun under the habit, which made it that much more rich. Something about the habit, I guess.
I guess it makes you want to get into the habit. Anyway, the question that I've been dying to ask you is, how do you feel about being a native?
I'm proud. I always have been. I was adopted, and I knew that I was native from the time that I can remember. My parents celebrated it, made sure that I knew it, made sure that I acknowledged it, made sure that I had information about it, brought me to the reservation, taught me about my heritage to the best that they could assess, because we didn't have a lot of information other than to know that I was part Mohawk.
So I would really consider you like a newfound Indian, because you went to great trouble to track down.
I did, yep, and with the help of my mother that raised me, Anne. She was always fascinated with my history and who I might be related to, and what my culture was, because I was obviously polar opposite in disposition from her. Probably wondered where the hell I came from. Maybe could send me back, I don't know. And so with her help, she was very interested, very open about it. They always want to encourage me to think about my birth mother on my birthday. Reminded me that somebody was worried or didn't know where I was. So I think that kind of helped that happen. And so she was a part of that. She kind of started the search, put an ad in the paper just randomly, and a couple of weirdos called me. A guy with a redheaded daughter who was missing called me. Clearly I don't belong to him. And then I just randomly met a man who worked undercover for the law enforcement. Asked him if he knew anybody on the reservation, and he didn't know me and said, well, why do you ask me that? And I told him that I knew that I was part Mohawk. He said, well, wait here, in 5 minutes I'll be back. Went out to his car, made a phone call, came back in and said, I'm going to take you to the reservation Saturday and just meet me there. And that was that. So I met him after knowing him for 10 minutes, followed him to the reservation to a place I probably wouldn't drive on my own ever. And we went and found a guy, and the guy looked at me kind of suspiciously and said, well, what makes you think you're native? And I said, well, I have this paperwork that says I am. And he looked me up and down and sized me up, looked at my bleach blonde hair, and said, can I keep your picture? I had given him a picture. And I said, yes. And he said, well, I'm going to cut the white people out of it. Okay. So we left. He said, I'll be in touch. But when we left and went to the car, the officer stayed with him for a few minutes. And they had whatever their conversation was, I didn't know till later. So I left. It was Easter week, and I was working my way through graduate school, working 2 jobs, one at Friendly's, one at a bar. I was bartending, going to graduate school and working for the Mental Health Association, which is a good spot for me to work. And I had randomly taken a Saturday off, unusual for me, and he called me at 7 in the morning and said, I need you to go to the reservation. I think I know who you're related to. So I called my parents, Ann and Art, that raised me, and said, this is weird. This guy says he thinks he knows people who know me, and they were very excited. Called my friend Stephanie, who has brass balls. She was in the Air Force, and she said, oh, I'll go with you right now. Let's go right now. So we went up to the reservation, but the Cook name had always been on my mind. I don't know why. It's just a name that stuck in my head forever. I was convinced that that was the name, and he gave me directions, and I ended up driving to the Cook Greenery on Route 37, and there was a whole bunch of people in there, including my cousin Andy, Irene, their children, and then a whole bunch of other people who said really casually, hey, I'm your cousin. And I'm your cousin, and I'm your cousin, and I'm your cousin, and I'm your cousin, including the guy who looked me over suspiciously, who said, once I saw your picture, I knew who you belonged to, but I couldn't tell you that, because I had to check first. And then very casually, my cousin Andy said, yeah, I grew up with your mom, you want to talk to her? And it was very surreal, and he called her, and I don't remember a lot of the conversation. It was overwhelming, unexpected. And then we were in Messina. She lived in Prescott, Ontario at the time, where I'd been many times as a child. My father had taken me there because he was a historian, and it was a historic spot. And I know that I did tell her I didn't want to interrupt her life. I just wanted to know where I came from. I wanted to know what I was about. So my ballsy friend Stephanie said, well, shit, we're already here. Why are we going to wait? Let's go. So unexpectedly, we drove across the border. We went to a restaurant where I'd been many, many times and waited. I called her and said, I don't know if you want to see me, but I'm here. And she was having Easter dinner. I didn't realize that, with her entire family, who had no idea I existed. And the waitress asked what we were doing, and we told her. She said, oh my God, it's like Oprah. And then the door opened, and 2 women walked in, and I knew who my mother was. It was my Aunt Jeffra and my mom. And it just went from there. It was pretty crazy. You couldn't write a book like that. And then I met my crazy Uncle Greg, and my Aunt Annette, and my half-sister Carrie, and Courtney, and Garrett, and I had this whole other family that Aunt Robin, Aunt Jeff, Lisa, Julie, Amy, Katie, Beth. I could go on and on. There's hundreds. And I had this whole other world.
And you've been found.
I had been found. It was overwhelming. It was unexpected, and it was just a perfect storm.
And how old were you at this point in time?
I was 23. And there was a lot of strange coincidences. I had grown up, one of my closest friends in the whole world, her father was best friends with a Louis cook, who I later realized was the Louis. We used to call him Louis the Big Indian, and that so randomly they had known each other for years. I played soccer against my cousin. I didn't realize that. There's just a lot of strange coincidences. So it was a whole other universe opened up. It was crazy, and I was lucky. I think that I'm very lucky. I have two families that love me. I was lucky enough to be raised with parents who were open and curious and wanted to know her. I never would have had that opportunity because they made the choice to open the door, and they wanted it open. They wanted to know.
Well, I'm glad you're found. I appreciate the time.
Me too.
Thank you.